All right, guys, if you are hearing this, that means that I am getting ready to go live right here in a second. So bear with me if you could be so kind. Okay, now. All right, welcome to the first live stream on this channel. I have no idea with the time zones and everything if anybody's actually going to be watching this live as it goes up. But what I wanted to do for you today is, one, I'm testing the live stream because, you know, I'm going to be doing a tutorial on live streaming, so I figure I might as well go ahead and jump on board with some live streams and get those going so I can teach you guys how to do that as well if you haven't live streamed before. But that's one reason I'm doing it. Two, I'm also going to show you how to make a YouTube thumbnail. I figured that would be a good introduction to the live stream. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. Now I'm going to take you to my desktop here, and bear with me. Again, this is my first time on the live stream, so let's see how this works out. Whoa. Okay, so if you want to make a YouTube thumbnail, very first thing you need to do, of course, is you need to create your new document. Now, YouTube actually recommends that people do 1280 by 720, but personally I do 1920 by 1080 because I like to have the additional archive on YouTube. What do I mean by that? Well, when hard drives go bad, or if I am out and about for some reason and I need a thumbnail, you know, for a video graphic or something like that, in that situation, you know, sometimes I'll just go into the code in YouTube and I will download that thumbnail. If you want to know how to do that, then you can actually go to a video that I made on how to download a YouTube thumbnail. How's it going, Slowcom? I see you there in the live chat. Okay, so after you create your document size, the first thing that you want to do, or the first thing that I always do anyway, is I make a new layer over here, and I'll name this border, and I'll put a border of some kind on my thumbnail. Now, the reason I do this is just to give a little bit of a separation between the actual YouTube admin and the actual YouTube page and my thumbnail graphic. So in this case, I'm just going to make it black for now, and I'm going to do it at 8 pixels. As you can see, when I turn it on and off, that just gave me a nice frame around my thumbnail. Now, the next thing you want to do, personally, I like to make my thumbnails on a gray background. And the reason that I do this is it just kind of helps me visually. So I work better when I'm staring at a dark surface instead of a white surface. No idea why, it's just how my brain works. But okay, now I'm going to add text to this thumbnail. So let's say that you are making a video about how to live stream, right? So for my thumbnails, I would type in how to, right? Because that is a highlight point of what it is that I'm doing, and how to will actually end up being in a keyword once it actually plays back. And then I copy that to another layer, and then I'll do live. Now with this, I'll hit Control T for transform, and I'll make this a little bit bigger, a lot bigger actually. And then I will do the duplication again. Stream, Control T again. I'm going to hold down my Shift key when I grab one of these anchor bars here, and this allows me to pull in more, or I'm sorry, this allows me to scale my text without actually having to worry about it bending out of place or anything like that. I'm going to hit apply. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to line these up really fast in the center. To do that, I'm going to click on this top layer here on this word stream. I'm going to hold down the control button, click live and how to. I'm going to make sure that my move tool is selected here, and then I'm going to go up to my alignment options in the top. I'm going to align horizontal centers. They were actually pretty good, but it gave that how to just a little bit of a bump. So now I'm going to move that down. Okay, now a couple things we could do here is, one, I could just leave it like that, and I could put a photo or something like that over here, but you know, I want to draw more attention to it. So instead of doing that, as you can see in my thumbnails, I like to put the big blocks behind them. So the next thing I'm going to do is I will make a new layer, and I will come over here to my shape tool, and I will make sure it's on shape up here at the top. Now, with the colors I like to use, if you've seen my thumbnails at all, you know, I like to use a lot of reds, blacks, yellows, you know, things that really draw attention when somebody's looking through thumbnails. So what I do is I basically take that shape and I just put it around here. Of course, if I'm doing this for real, I will pay a little bit more attention to the actual spacing of everything. But just that shape right there, as you can see, you know, puts a huge emphasis on the word stream. But because live is actually associated more with that red, I'm going to actually make that one red instead, which I'm going to come back and change that stream one here later. Okay, how to live stream. Okay, now that I have that in place, I'm going to move this box up here to live, and I'm actually going to select that rectangle that's behind live, and I'm going to hit Control G to actually group it. What's going on, Brandon Rogers? How's it going on? Major Karn, what is happening? Okay, and with the live selected in the group here, I am now going to do the same thing for stream. I'm going to select rectangle, and I'm going to hit stream. I'm going to hit Control G to group those together. Now, one thing that I like to do, and I'm going to go ahead and prepare for this here, is I like to put shadows and things like that to kind of make everything pop a little bit. So I'm actually going to move, let me name this one here real quick. I'm going to move stream down to the bottom because it's at the bottom of the pile here. I'm going to name this one, and then we are going to also do a square behind the how-to. Thank you for this. It gives me some nice ideas. Awesome, Petra. Glad to be of service. Okay, now I'm also going to put a red one. I'm actually going to have to move this one up a little bit. Okay. And again, if I'm doing this for real, you know, for one of my thumbnails, I try to get the spacing better. But for this, you know, I don't want to waste your time. You know, I want to show you exactly what I do without wasting your time on the technicalities. So, okay, now I'm going to put the how-to into a group as well. Okay, now what I was talking about a minute ago about the colors is I want to leave the live as the red because, you know, I want that grabbing attention when somebody sees it. But I'm going to go into the stream here. I'm going to change this to, let's say, a white. Let's reverse it. And then I'm going to double click on stream, go into my layer styles here, color overlay. I'm going to select the color up here at the top, and then I'm just going to pull from this red, right? So we got all the reds matching up. And then for the how-to, I'm going to go up here and I'm going to double click this, and I'm going to change this one to black. Now you can't really see it on that darker background, but you will here in a second. And for this case, I'm actually going to lighten this background up just a tad so you can see it on your end while we're working on it. There we go. Okay, now we have the how-to, right? We have the live and we have the stream. Being a little, there we go. Okay, now if you look at my thumbnails, you could leave this, again, you could leave it as it is. You could pull them, you know, on top of each other just a little bit like this, right? But what I like to do in my thumbnails, and again, this is just to make them pop a little bit, it kind of helps, you know, just helps them grab attention, is I'm going to actually put an angle on the text that I have. So I'm going to click on how-to, I'm going to click Control T again for transform, and as you can see, we've just got a handful of things that we use here. We've got, you know, Control T for transforming it. We've got the shape tool that we're using, and we've got the text and, you know, changing some colors around. So that side of it is really pretty easy. It's just learning, you know, what actually looks good. Okay, now that that's selected, I'm just going to twist it just a tad. I'm going to go to the live, and I'm going to do the same thing, Control T, and then I'm going to rotate this just a tad. And I'm going to go to the stream, And I'm going to rotate that one just a tad as well. Now, for the fun of this, I'm going to pull stream over here just a little bit. I'm going to see what it looks like here with it offset and not perfectly center. And then I'm going to take the how-to and I'm going to put it over here just a little bit. That's actually angled too much, so I'm going to pull that around that way. Hey, hello, some behind the scenes action. Nice. What is going on, Soloquai? Hey, if you guys want to learn some awesome educational stuff, check out Soloquai's channel. He left a comment here, so check him out in the comments. He's got some awesome stuff going on over there. I don't have Photoshop. Anyone know a good free program? Yes, Brandon, a good free program for doing this is GIMP. You can do it on GIMP. I'm pretty sure Canva lets you do this stuff too, so you might want to check that out there as well. So, but back to the thumbnail. In the how-to thing here, I'm going to select, or in the folders, I'm going to select this group. I'm going to double click it. Just like we changed the color on the text, but I'm not going to change the color on this how-to. Instead, I'm going to add a drop shadow. And when I do that, you see it appear just a little bit. I'm going to use the angle 135 in this example. And I'm going to add some distance to it. And you can see it start to come alive, start to pop off there a little bit. Going to make the size just a little bit bigger. And when I turn that on and off, you can see the difference that makes, which on one, it's not a huge difference, but once I add it to everything, it's a pretty solid difference. Okay, and then if I want to do the same exact thing on the other two groups, all I have to do is just click one, hit Control, click the next one, right click. Actually, let me go up here and show you this first. Go to the how-to, and then I'm going to right click, and I'm going to copy layer style. And then I'm going to click on the live group, hold down my control button, hit the stream group, right click, and then hit paste layer style. And then as you can see, it created this shadow around all of them to kind of give everything a little bit more dimension. Now, originally, hey, that's awesome, man. Yeah, that's awesome. All of you guys go over there and sub to him. He's got some awesome stuff on his channel. Okay, now, where was I here? Okay, yeah, with the how-to, because I don't really, I'm not huge on how this looks with the how-to shifted all the way over here, so I'm actually going to bring it to the right just a tad. And as you do these a lot, then you'll learn how to kind of balance everything out, make everything kind of look right. And with the sizing and everything on this one, it looks like I might be best off to run it down the center, or, you know, pretty close to it, just a little bit off there. There we go. Okay, now that I have these made, I'm going to click on the top group here, the how-to group, and I'm going to hold down my control key. I'm going to click on the live group and the stream group, and I'm going to put all of these into a group together so that I can just move all of them around freely once I get my picture in here. So I'm going to hit Control G for group, and as you can see, that just put all of these into a group. So I'm going to put text for this group. Okay, so now we have our border and we have our text in place. So I'm going to grab this text just to show you, and now I can move it all around. So if I want to, you know, I could just put it like that, put some graphics in the background and just go that way. But in this example, I'm going to bring it over here to the left, and I'm going to add a stock photo to it. And to do that, I'm going to go to File. Actually, I'm going to select this background layer so it comes up on top of the background layer, but under this text layer. So I'm going to go to File, Place Embedded. I'm going to go into my stock folder here. If you watch my other channel, All Our Questions, you will see a lot of these images here are from that channel. Let's see here. I know I have a webcam. Ah, here we go. There's a webcam. So I'm going to place this. Now, in order to keep the dimensions on this, just like we did when we were scaling the text around, I'm going to hit this. I'm going to hold the Shift key. And that's going to make sure that instead of the image going like this, when you hit the Shift key, it actually keeps the ratio correct. So, okay, so for her, I'm going to move this over here. And I'm going to show you some other really cool tricks right here in a minute on how to make this pop out as well. Okay, that's a good position. It kind of fills this area up over here. And one thing I want you to keep in mind as well is, you know, once you have your text made, after you drop a photo in, A lot of times, you might end up moving the text around to where it positions with the photo better. I do that, probably 9 times out of 10, but, keep that in mind. Once that text is in there, you can drop your picture in and you can move everything around as much as you want to. That's the cool part about it. Okay. Then we're going to hit the move tool up here. We're going to place. Now, what I like to do for the background, right, is I'm going to duplicate it for a quicker color sample. I'm going to double click it just like we did the text. Color overlay, and then I'm going to click this background so that I can make that background white, but we're going to change that here in a little bit. Click OK for that. Now with this, unless I mask over it, it's not going to allow me to erase this without rasterizing the layer. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that here. I'm just going to right click and hit rasterize layer. Then I'm going to go to my eraser tool. I'm going to click a brush. Make it kind of big here. And a little tip here, you can actually hit the left and right brackets to, in case you're not that familiar with Photoshop, you can hit the left and right brackets to increase or decrease your brush size. So I'm going to use that. Whoa. I'm going to take my flow down here to about 13, 11. And then this way it gives me a better blend. There, so it kind of pulls all of that together. Okay, now I'm going to select the image layer, and I'm going to hit Control, and I'm going to select this background layer, right? And I'm going to hit Control E, and that's going to merge those two layers together. Now, the reason I did that is because I want to put effects on this picture here in the background. I want to make it pop. So I'm going to select around here. Now, because, the way that I have the text laid out and things like that, I can just go ahead and crop this if I want. But in the event that you have a photo that takes up, way too much of your canvas or that goes outside of your canvas area to where if you want to put some type of built-in filter on it so that it doesn't affect that, then you can just mask it and then right click, convert to smart object, and then rasterize, and then that basically just cropped that picture area so that you don't have to worry about that. Now, a little secret weapon that I have here, and you should go download this if you don't have it, if you really want your stuff to pop. It comes with all types of really cool built-in stuff, but it's called Rad Lab. Totally rad. I think it's totallyrad.com is where you can get it, but I think it's like $150. At least it used to be somewhere around that area. But it has all types of really cool filters. I'm sure there's a bajillion other options as well. But with this software, you can, and this is not, sponsored. They didn't, I'm not getting paid to say this or anything. Like, I use this every single day, and I think it's awesome. So I just wanted to let you know about it. But you can actually custom build recipes like this AOQ card on my All Our Questions Instagram. Basically, I just click on this, and then it puts that effect on the picture, which is pretty cool. But for this, I have a filter that I've created called Color Pop. And as you can see, if you look at the blue in her shirt, watch what happens when I go over this. Boom, right? And this Easy Burn, it's basically the vignette that's around it. So I'm going to make that bigger. Another cool thing with this vignette is it works pretty cool on just if you have just a white background, it kind of gives some nice atmosphere to that white background. But as a side note, if you do not have Rad Lab, you can do the same exact thing, just using, your contrast and saturation, which I'll do that as well just to show you, but I just wanted to show you this because it's awesome. But basically the Sugar Rush just boosts the colors. The Obvious Glasses cranks up the contrast. So I will come back to doing it this way, but I will show you the other way to do that here real quick. Okay, another way to do the same exact thing, I'm going to make a duplicate layer so I can come back and do that one with Rad Lab. But basically you would go up here, go to your image adjustments, go to hue and saturation. Then we want to crank the saturation up a bit. And the reason you crank up the saturation is you want your images to grab attention. There's a lot of competition on YouTube. There's a lot of, is the stream going to be available on the channel to watch it later on? Yes, it is going to be available on the channel to watch it later on as well, for sure. Captain M, it definitely will. But the saturation, you want to crank that up quite a bit. You still want it to be realistic, but And yeah, I mean, it's a YouTube thumb, so it doesn't really even have to be realistic. But basically, you want to crank that up just for the color saturation, because our eyes are drawn to color. And the whole reason you're making a custom thumbnail is you want people to click on it. So I'm cranking up the saturation on that one. I'm going to click OK. And in some cases, you can even go into your brightness and contrast, and you can even crank the contrast up a little bit to really make things pop. If you want it to be a sharper image, then you can go in, to an unsharp mask or something like that, sharpen it up that way. Okay, now we have this, and I'm actually not even going to go back into the Rad Lab because I like how that turned out. You can see the difference between the two. This is before the, hey, no sweat, Captain M. This is before the saturation and contrast, and this is after the saturation and contrast. And you can see it makes a big difference. Now, if you scale this down to what it would look like on, on a mobile phone or, here on YouTube, then, those colors, if you look at that as I turn them on and off, it makes a huge difference, right? Okay, now with this scaled back, you can see that the how to live stream, it kind of blends in a little bit, right? Because of that white background. So what I want to do now is I have to come up with something to separate that white background. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to scoot her over here just a tad. And personally, because there's this big empty space here, this is a live stream thumbnail, right? So I would personally, if I was actually going to use this thumb, I would go into my custom shape tool, and I would use, oh yeah, you can see it right here from where I used when I did my other stream icon. But basically, you can go into your custom shapes. There are a ton of awesome custom shapes out there you can get off of DeviantArt and places like that. But this particular set is Media Social Shapes. And if you check that out, it has all of these cool things. I'm going to use this live version right here for that. So in order to fill out some of that space, I would actually just kind of put this here. And then that kind of takes care of some of that space. Maybe I would make it just a little bit small, but it gives that visual indicator. See what it looks like with a shadow. Nope, shadow's too much on that, so we don't want to use that. But it gives the visual indicator of the live stream as well, which is, any visual indicator that we can use is definitely a plus. Okay, now with that space taken care of, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer over this background layer, or over the picture. And then there's a few different things that we can do. We can go into our brushes in Photoshop, and depending on the brushes that you have, you know what, off the top of my head, let's see here, I think the faux finish brushes, yeah, we could do something there because those are built in. But really, I mean, you can download all types of really cool brushes. So you can go with a grunge watercolor. No, we don't want to use that one. Let's see here, grunge edges. Yeah, this will work out. Okay, so in this situation, just Google for grunge edges if you want this same exact brush so that you can follow along. But go into your brushes, or you can even do it with your custom shapes. You can use the shapes that Photoshop gives you when you first get your software. And just because something is just something to keep in mind here from doing tons of graphic design work, just because something is a flower or a hand or something, it doesn't mean that it has to be that way in your actual design. Like here, for example, right, let's take this foot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out, and then I'm going to lay this foot over this way just for the sake of having the shape. And I'm just going to do that with it, right? That kind of helps that how to live stream pop out a little bit, as you can see there, and nobody knows that that's a foot. Now you can take the whole color thing, you can take that part even further. You can click in here and you can change this to a gray. You can change it to like an obnoxious green, like I did on my thumb on YouTube subscribers. I mean, that's great. I mean, if you look at what's going on color-wise in this thumbnail, we have the bright blue that works with the red. We have the red that works good with the bright green. Everything is working together here, and it's nice and solid. I'm actually going to change this. Whoops. change this icon here to black. There we go. So it doesn't steal the eyeball away from, oops. So it doesn't steal the eyeball away from the live there. So you can go with it this way, right? And another thing that you can do is, let's say you really want to spice it up, then duplicate your foot. And we're going to change the color again. Let's say we want to put like a yellow on here. We're trying to make this thing scream. We want it to get attention, right? It's the whole reason we're making custom thumbnails, is we want it to get attention. Okay, that gives that a little bit of a yellow on that side. Here, a little bit more yellow over there to kind of balance things out. We'll move this shape here. And there you have a pretty good attention-grabbing thumbnail that really demands that your eye goes to it. I mean, look at the colors on here. Look at, I mean, all of it. And of course, you know, depending on what it is that you're doing, you know, the actual picture itself that you put into your thumbnails can make a huge difference. For example, let's say you have another type of thing. Okay, let's do how to live stream. What can we do that has something to do with live streaming? We've got some people there. We've got the dude coming out of his phone. You know, I've used this girl in some thumbnails. Here we've got that guy. Okay, this picture here, tons of color here, right? And this would also kind of fit what it is that we're doing. So as you can see, the color in this situation, you know, this just makes a huge difference for what we're doing. And for this, I'm going to this background layer again. I'm going to duplicate it. And then I'm going to click here, and I'm going to sample the color off of this. Okay. Then I will rasterize this and do just like we did before. And I'm going to blend that just a little bit. There we go. Now, as you can see, there's just tons of color going on here. Now, another thing that you can do is in the text, you can double click on that text. You can make the drop shadow even heavier as a group, right? You can pull the distance in, and you can make your size heavier so that it pops it out just a little bit more. And just for fun here, I'm actually going to put a tiny bit of drop shadows on the feet graphics here, just to add just a little bit more layers to it. Again, this is kind of overboard on, you know, the drop shadowing, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of the differences that some of these elements make if you just sit there and tinker with it a little bit. Okay, and the same exact thing goes with this picture, right? I'm going to go into Control E to flatten those together, and then I'm going to go into the Rad Lab that I mentioned a little bit ago. And as you can see there, again, the huge color difference that makes. I'm going to hit finish, bam. Now that would be a completed thumbnail. I would be totally happy putting that up somewhere. And another thing too, in this situation, right, let's say because of the blue background, let's say I sample here, right, and that just keeps it blue. We're going to make that how to live stream part really pop off here by doing this. And then we're going to paste that, and then we're going to pull this blue here from this blue background, right? So we've got all these different shades of blue, which is extremely attention grabbing. Oops. And for this, I'm going to move this how to live over just a tad. Okay, now that would be considered a pretty decent looking thumbnail by most people. Hey, JK Tech, no problem, man. I'm glad you're finding it useful. But yeah, that's pretty much it with the thumbnails. If you have any questions about any of this, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. Also, I'm going to put this, well, see, I can't do that with the pictures, so never mind. But I've just recently added some new things to my VIP club. If you are not a member of my VIP club, make sure that you check the link down in the description and go in there. Basically, it's a weekly newsletter that you get that shares, you know, things like this. It also gives you updates on when I upload a video, and I give discounts for Tuber Tools, which is tubertools.com, which is my website for YouTubers. It basically has all types of end cards and things like that that you can use for your YouTube channel, as well as other resources for YouTubers. So make sure that you sign up for the VIP club, because you know you get that stuff. And inside of the VIP club itself, there's also, you know, free video graphics that you can use. There is royalty-free music that you can use without having to worry about copyright headaches. You know, all types of really cool things in there that you can use. There's graphic guides. There's PDFs on how to do things. I just recently uploaded a how-to guide on tagging, you know, YouTube tagging for beginners. So make sure that you check out the VIP area. The link for that and everything else that I'm talking about is down in the description below. And again, if you have any questions about any of this stuff, make sure that you leave a comment down below and let me know what your questions are, and then I will answer them if I can. And once again, make sure that you check out the VIP area, and make sure that you hit the subscribe button somewhere on this page so you can get more videos like this in the future. I plan to do more live streams. As you've probably noticed on this channel, I've been updating more, and I'm going to continue to be releasing a lot of really valuable content on this channel. So make sure that you are subscribed so that you can get more of this. And I do have another channel as well called All Our Questions. If you have not subscribed to that channel yet, make sure you head over there and check that out. I haven't uploaded anything there for about a month, but here right around the corner, I've been focusing on some growth on this channel. And then after I have a goal that I've reached on this channel, then I'm going to be updating that one on a regular basis again as well. So make sure that you head over there and check out All of Our Questions as well. So again, make sure that you hit the subscribe button somewhere on this page so you can get more videos like this in the future. And thank you so much for watching. Share this video if you know anybody that would find it useful, and I will see you next time.